In this video, I'm going to share with you how to sell a retreat in a way that makes it easier to fill and less likely that you'll have to cancel or forego any sorts of investments or deposits that you've made. So I'm going to cover a lot in this video. First, how do you create destination retreats that sell? Second, how to do effective retreat enrollment, aka how to sell a retreat. The average price to sell a weekend coaching retreat. How to sell out your retreat so that you're booked solid. The best way to promote your retreat. And finally, how to sell online retreats, not just live in-person ones. So let's start with why it's so important for you to sell your retreats. Well, obviously, especially if you're doing some sort of destination retreat where you have to make an investment on the front end, you don't want to be stuck with a big bill and nobody to help you foot it. That's why I like to tell my clients, sell the promise, not the production. See, when you sell the production, what ends up happening is you're really just selling the trip or the accommodations or the amenities or that part of the experience. Now that's all well and good, but the problem with that is it kind of puts you in competition with travel retreats, with destinations, and with competing with event planners and travel agencies and things like that. Instead, I like to say sell the promise, not the production. That means tell them what they're gonna get for their lives from enrolling in your retreat. What kind of transformation can they expect to experience? When you focus more on the transformation, then the production becomes far less important. That means that you can often spend a lot less on your event because the focus is really over here in the transformation that they're going to experience. Another reason I say sell the promise, not the production, is that a lot of times when people start to plan, especially early days of their retreats, they sometimes get caught up in all the logistics and details around the retreat rather than focusing on creating an incredible retreat experience. They become kind of a glorified event planner, focusing on amenities and food and beverage and room blocks and all things like that, which usually are not as fun, at least not for people like me, who really want to create transformational experiences. So I'm a big believer in simplifying the production and focusing a lot more on developing activities and low price point, low cost things you can do, but that deliver a big punch. Here's an example. I had my client named Albert Pellichet, and he wanted to do a spiritual retreat with his men. His whole retreat was called Man Camp. And early on, he was trying to figure out where to host his retreat. Now, he could have hosted it in a hotel. That would be kind of the traditional, normal way to host a retreat. But the hotel was charging a whole lot of money, wanted him to commit to a certain number of rooms, and this was his first retreat, and they wanted to charge him a lot of money for renting out an event space and make him get food and beverage for his guys. So instead, he got creative, and he thought, this is a spiritual retreat. This is not about the material things in life. And he went out and he found himself this awesome houseboat. It wasn't fancy. Guys were going to have to share rooms. It was kind of down and dirty a little bit, but it allowed men to really have that intimate retreat experience that allowed them to open up and really have the transformations that they wanted to have and that he needed them to have in order to entice them to keep working with him. So it's not about the production, it's about the promise. So when you're selling a promise, how do you do that? Well, you could do what a lot of people try to do and create really fancy brochures and websites to promote their retreats. But what I've found works way better for retreat enrollment is actually to sell through having meaningful conversations. See, here's the thing with putting together a retreat. It really matters who's in the room. It really matters who registers. You get one bad apple in that bunch and it could spoil the whole event. And so that's why I say that it's so important to use all of your marketing chops and materials towards getting people onto the phone with you and then enrolling them by having a meaningful conversation about the vision that they have, what's in the way, and how you can bridge that gap through a transformational weekend or retreat. And again, focusing on the promise or the outcome of the retreat rather than focusing on the production. When your sales conversation is talking about the number of stars that the hotel has or how the transportation is to get from the airport to the hotel, you've lost it. You are no longer creating a transformational retreat. Now you're little more than just a travel agent. So I highly recommend, if you want to create transformational retreats and sell them and market and promote them, then you really want to focus on what's that journey that you're going to take people on to take them from where they are to where they want to go. And that's the kind of conversation to have when you're enrolling people. So I get a lot of questions about what's the average cost for a weekend retreat. That's not a question I want to answer directly. And the reason for that is because the average cost is probably too low for what you could do. Here's what I mean. A lot of people tend to underprice their retreats, and they do that because they're focusing on the production instead of the promise. When you focus on the promise, which is what I've been talking about this whole video, then your value proposition right away it raises. Imagine if you have a retreat that the promise is that you're going to come home from this retreat and you're going to be a better mother. Or you're going to come home from this retreat and you're going to be able to have 10 new ways to drive new revenues for your business. The value proposition for that is so much higher than just what a 3-day event would be or destination retreat. And that's why most of my clients, I recommend starting at a price point average of about $2,000 for a 3-day retreat. And that's not even on the high side. I have clients that charge $5,000, even $10,000 for their 3-day retreats because the outcome is so valuable. So be careful. Most of the time people tend to undercharge rather than overcharge. They're afraid of overcharging, and because of that, they end up undercharging and selling themselves short. I have a really easy way to make sure that you sell out your retreat, which is stop selling your retreat. Meaning, once you get to a certain number of people or once you get to a certain date, just let everyone know it's sold out, no matter where you are. So here's what I mean. Let's say you wanted to have 20 people at your retreat, but you want to sell it out, because when you sell out a retreat, it actually increases its value, increases the desire that people who didn't come have for the next time. So here's what I recommend. A week before the event, just close it down and now it's sold out. That way you can announce to everybody that your retreat is sold out, but you're taking names for the wait list for the next time. That's a really powerful marketing strategy, and it will actually help you to actually sell out your retreats in the future. When you create buzz and scarcity around your offerings, people tend to want them more. If you're liking this content and you're looking for ways to design, sell, market, and fill your retreats, then please subscribe to my channel. I have all sorts of videos on how you can design, market, fill, and deliver powerful transformational retreats and monetize them. I almost forgot monetize them. So please subscribe to my channel so you can get more. Now let's talk a little bit about how to promote your retreat. And by the way, only a little bit, because I actually have an entire video, you can click on it here, about how to promote your retreat. So my absolute favorite marketing strategy for promoting my retreats is speaking engagements, live engagements, and now, of course, virtual engagements. And those are engagements that other people bring me in for, but I also create my own speaking engagements. I do my own webinars, I do my own preview events, and that's the way that people can really connect to my message. And by the way, if you want to sign up for some of my webinars and speaking engagements, just get on my list. You can do that by going to retreatstorichesroadmap.com or clicking on the link below and getting my Retreats to Riches free roadmap. And that'll help you to design and market your own retreats just like I do.